This is the Solo Stove Ranger. Now, I just got this thing in the day before today, and I am super pumped about it. Probably more so than I should be. And today I'm going to give it its first burn. This thing is brand new. Never had a fire in it. And tonight is the night. We're going to get this bad boy broken in. Oh yeah. Let's get a fire in her. All right, so this is what I have in the barrel here. A bunch of sticks and whatnot, and I found some a tinder source. This is just offshoots from some oak that I split. We'll see how dry it is. Watch out, watch your face. Oh wow, yeah. That's really dry. Now I'm throwing just everything in here. Old wet bark that's laying on the ground. It's smoking a lot right now, but once this thing gets going, it's supposed to cut down a lot on that smoke because of the way it's baffled these dual burning zones. All right, so I think yesterday was kind of a bust. As efficient as this thing is, I think throwing a bunch of wet bark on it as it's just getting started is not very wise. Even though it didn't smother it, I think you still should make a fire, the traditional way, build it up, start with small wood and build your way up to the larger stuff. So I'm gonna do that now, the proper way. I'm gonna go dump these ashes. Oh, but I will say, I did leave this overnight and I had thrown a couple big chunks in. Those logs burnt down completely. So that's pretty daggone awesome. It's raining now, so I'm up under the lean-to here. But I got her emptied out and let's get some stuff together. Everything's gonna be wet, but that's okay. So I think this thing is gonna be fine. So we saw how well this thing performs. How much, should I say, how much better it performs when you start the fire up, as you should, you know, small wood into big wood into bigger wood. Now this thing's burned down to the point where I'm going to drop on a log now. This little chunk, this split, I think this is maple, and we're going to see how it does. Alright, so I'm going to call it for the night, but I'm going to go ahead and leave this log in here overnight just to see when I come back in the morning if this little log is completely gone or if there's anything left of it. That'll just attest to how efficient this thing is at burning everything in it completely. So I'll check back in the morning. This thing is so hot though. It's incredible. It's just funneling all this heat just straight up and out. All right, so it's morning. Got the chickens grazing. And as you can see, our log we had in here, oh yeah, that thing is nothing left of it. That's incredible. All right, well, let's get into my conclusion for this video. Now keep in mind that this is an initial review. This isn't a long-term review or anything. I've only had 2 fires in this thing so far, but I'll give you my first impressions and what I think of it so far. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and if you didn't, give it a big fat thumbs down, and let's get into my thoughts on the Solo Stove Ranger. I'll give you the pros and cons. We'll start off with the cons. Some things, this is a short list. Some things that I don't like about this is that probably the biggest thing that I don't like is the fact that the sides get hot as hell to the touch, but you can't really feel any heat off the sides. So a normal campfire, when you sit around, you kind of nestle your feet up to the fire and kind of warm your toes or whatever. This, you can't really do that. You'd have to have your foot elevated up in this area to, you know, warm your feet. All the heat is concentrated like a funnel out of the top of this thing. It's super hot, but it's contained straight up through here, and it doesn't really radiate out to the sides like a normal firewood. So you kind of got to be standing over it to feel the warmth of it, which leads me to my next con. Because you have to kind of stand over it, it doesn't have a lot of smoke. Once it gets rolling, you have good wood in there, but you know, it's not completely smoke free. So you are kind of standing over it, and you're standing right kind of near the smoke when you're standing over it. I don't know if like a shorter, wider pit would be better, be lower to the ground. You kind of get your feet next to it, or I don't know, maybe. Another thing, let's wait for this wind to stop blowing. Another thing that could be an issue is because this thing does get hot, if you're moving, like say you get up in the morning, you're planning on leaving that day, wherever you're going, you can't really have a morning fire unless you have the fire. Then you take some time to let it cool down to pack it away, because this thing does get hot. And so if you want to have a fire in the morning and you're leaving, you got to give time to cool down, or you don't have a fire. Or you can have a fire, a regular fire, like in a fire pit, a normal style fire. Let's move on to some things that I like about this. First things first, starting a fire in this thing is super easy. It's like, I've started a lot of fires, done a lot of camping. You really don't have to, you don't have to do anything. You just throw the shit in there, light it, and it just goes. It's crazy. It really cuts down on time, like feeding a fire and tending it and getting it going, which I like, because I like to have fires around the house here in the evenings, and I don't really have a lot of time. And I have a fire pit that I built, a block fire pit, and it doesn't really get much use because I just don't have the time to get it going and enjoy the fire. This thing, hopefully I'll be able to do that more often, because you just put stuff in there, light it, and it just goes. And it gets really hot. The heat coming off the top of this thing, it's just incredibly hot, and it's impressive. Another thing is that it's portable. That's kind of why I got this size. I was actually looking at the Solo Stove campfire, and I was debating on this one and the campfire. The campfire is basically their cooking stove version, but it's a size down from this. But I'm kind of glad I got this one. I may still get the campfire just to try it out, but this is a good size because it's portable, yet you can still fit a decent size piece of wood in here. You're probably best with an 8 to 10 inch length of wood to go in here, but you know, you can't have it all. You can't have a huge pit that takes a 16-inch log and also be portable, you know. So it's a good size, 8 to 10 inch log. You can throw it in your truck, take it on your adventures, and you have a fire pit with you in case you get to, I mean, we don't really camp in campgrounds very often, but every now and again we get caught and we have to. And if you're in like a coastal area like the beach, you know, there's not a lot of camping around, like I guess wilderness camping, so you're kind of limited to a campground. And a lot of those places don't have, or don't allow, they don't have fire pits for a fire. So something like this would come in handy. I know we just did a Outer Banks trip not too long ago, and we got stuck at a campground, and it was windy and cold, and we couldn't have a fire because they didn't have a fire pit. But if I had this thing, then it would have been so much better. Another thing that I'm hopeful for this is using it while it's raining. So normally when you're camping out, you have a fire pit. It's kind of away from, you know, your vehicles and all. But with this, if it's raining, if you have an awning off your vehicle or something, you can pull that out and kind of stick this on the edge. You know, you can put it wherever you want to, is what I'm saying. You don't have to work around a set fire pit. You can move this around and have a fire wherever you want to. So if it's raining, you have an awning or something off your vehicle, you can stick it off on the edge in the corner, still have a nice little fire and still be out of the rain. So that's another reason why I got this, and I'm looking forward to using it more in the future. And the last thing is, this isn't really a pro or con, this is just an extra tidbit, the stand. So when I was originally looking at this, I was gonna get the kit with the stove and the stand. And I got a really good deal on this. I got it on sale, a big discount, but it didn't come with a stand. So I was like, it's such a good deal, I had to get it. And if I need the stand later, then I'll get the stand later. But after using it, I don't know if I'm going to get the stand, because I don't know if you could tell in the camera, but if you see the patina on this, the discoloration, it's still silver at the bottom, and it only discolored at the top where the heat was. And if you look at the bottom, it still looks like brand new. So I'm going to do more testing on this, maybe put it on like a piece of thin plastic and heat it up and see if it scorches that at all, because I did want to be able to use this on surfaces you know, that are sensitive. But I don't think that I'm going to need the stand, honestly, because I don't think it gets hot enough at the bottom to warrant that. But I don't know, time will tell, and I'll do some more testing, and hopefully I'll probably make another video on that in the future. Probably do a long-term review after I get to use this through the summer, through the winter, and yeah, I'll report back on the stand thing. And I think that is about it for this, everyone. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got something out of it, and I'll see you next time. I never know how to end these videos.